So right before filming, I realized you can see the Christmas tree. So we're not crazy. We just are really lazy and didn't feel like taking the Christmas tree down. So we decorate it for every season now. So, it's still appropriate. We're just lazy, but it's fine. Figured I should explain myself before this possibly gets shown in class and people are like, why do you have a Christmas tree up? And I'm like, huh? Anywho, so Winawer, I think, had a hypothesis that categories in language can affect performance on simple perceptual color tasks. And so in Russian, they have two different words to distinguish what we call like dark blue versus light blue. They have goluboy and sini. Whereas we have ways to distinguish the two, but we just don't have that specific word. So because of that, Russians should have more of an advantage for cross-category discrimination than within category. So if they have what we consider a dark blue versus a light blue, they would be able to distinguish the two. Whereas if they're both like in the light blue or the cine category, it'll be a little bit harder. And since English speakers don't have that advantage, that should show up during the test. So what they did was they took 26 Russian speakers and 24 English speakers, and they tested them at MIT. But something I found was strange was that the age range was 7 to 21. I feel like a 7-year-old doesn't have like as much knowledge about the world and like experience. So I don't know. That 7 just seemed really young to me. Anywho, so they had one block without any secondary tasks, so they were just asked to look at the top square, which was one of the shades of blue. And then there's 2 squares under that. Now, one of them matched identically with the square above, and the other was different, but their job was to tell you which one matched with the top one. So the 2 squares could either be within the different categories, so they were cross-category discrimination, so that should be faster, essentially. But if they're both within the same category, like both cine colors or both goluboy colors, that might be a little bit harder. And then they were asked to do the same thing while performing a secondary verbal interference task. So they had to memorize, or they were shown an 8-digit number for like 3 seconds. Then they were asked to do 8 color discrimination tasks and then give back that 8-digit serial number at the end. And then the last test was they were shown a grid with like certain black spots or black squares shaded in. And then they had to do the 8 color tasks. And then at the end, they had to repeat back or not repeat. They were given 2 options. They're like, which is the grid you saw before? And then they had to pick which one they had seen before or memorized. And so the order of all these tasks were varied for the different participants. And then at the very end of everything, they were tested on where they put the border between what English speakers call light blue and dark blue, and for Russian speakers, goluboy and cine. So what they found was that Russian speakers showed a category advantage. So their hypothesis was not proven, but correct, when tested without interference. But English did not show that advantage. So essentially, Russian speakers were able to make the discriminations faster. And the advantage, however, was disrupted by the verbal task of having to memorize the serial number and then repeat it back, but not for the spatial interference, so not for the shaded in grid. So yeah, Russian speakers were faster to discriminate the 2 colors, but that was if they fell into 2 different linguistic categories. So if one of the blues was a goluboy color and the other one was a cine color. And so that they think is possibly due to habitual training. And that makes sense because in English, it's not that we can't tell the difference. It's just that Russian speakers can't not tell the difference. Like they are trained to tell that difference. It's something that they need in their society and being able to communicate with each other. They need those different words for some reason. So that's saying like we have ways to describe the different shades of red. Like I can tell you Christmas red versus tomato red, but we don't have like one specific word to discriminate everything, whereas they do. And because of that, they are habituated to learn the difference between the 2. So, do think this proves the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis? Words are, or not words, but names are hard in linguistics, so. Anywho, so that hypothesis is basically saying that the structure of a language affects the speaker's worldview, yeah, I do think it kind of proves it. Not completely in depth. Like, if you were to tell me that, I wouldn't be like blown away and never believe anything else that taught me about this again. But for now, I'm like, yeah, it works. It shows that Russian speakers can tell the difference between Goluboy and Sapshiny. I don't even know anymore. The other one. And that's because they've been habituated to do so. Their worldview is different than ours. If we see two light blues, we'll just refer to them as light blue. But our worldview makes it so that it's not necessary. Like, I don't know. Maybe in Russian they have different kinds of ice that look blue, and one's like poisonous, whereas the other one isn't. So they really need to know the difference between the shades of blue. I don't know. Something in their society makes it so that it is necessary for them to have that difference, whereas for us it's not as important, so therefore we are not habituated to see the difference as easily. Yeah.